Welcome, everyone. Are you ready to learn how to become your own guru? I am here with Emily Harrison. This is the power of energy healing. And today, Emily is going to talk about that. And actually, we're going to go through a process at the end, and we're actually going to do a chant, and I'm going to be doing an accelerator along with the chant, and it's going to be really cool. So you want to stay till the end and be sure to share this out. So what we're going to do right now is take just a minute and share it out. And so I'm on the Akashic Academy page now on my phone, and so just going to share out the video, and there it is. So it takes just a minute to do so. So many people can benefit from this, and it's really a good way to, and people will actually thank you for offering something beneficial. So, yep. So, like I said, it takes just a minute, and so we encourage you to do so. All right, see? So that takes just a moment to do, and then you can share it out to more places later. And this works, like I said, even if you're watching the replay, share it to your friends, share it to your family members, share it in groups where you have permission to do so. So that you stay out of Facebook jail.
Exactly. Don't get yourself put in jail today, everybody.
That's right. So we're going to share it out in places where they are welcome, where they welcome video. So we always ask around for that. So, all right. So we've already got some people here with us today, Emily. They're excited. We have got all kinds of people. We got, is it Fabiano? We've got Jan. Ann is here. So there's Fabiana.
Oh, I love it.
Jan.
Hey, that's my mama. What's up, mama?
And we got Ann. And Judy is here. We've got Brenda. Mike's with us.
Mr. Capo.
Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Krista's here. And she's saying hello to her soul family. Yes, Krista.
Yeah, Krista. Glad you're
Nina.
here. Nina's here too.
Keith, I told you we got quite the...
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for showing up today.
Yeah, Jamie. We got Gemma. And Kelly's here with us. David. All right. Thank you all for showing up. And all right, so we're going to get started. So as you all know, this is Emily Harrison. And so I'll let you just take over, Emily.
You're going to let me come in and take over your show today, Christy?
Well, I'm just going to let you tell, for anyone that doesn't know you already, and Nick is here with us today too.
Hi, Coach Nick is here.
So anyone that doesn't know you already, I'll let you tell just a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be doing today to learn more about becoming your own guru.
I'm really excited to be here. And Christy, thank you so much for allowing me to come in and share with you on your own show today. We are so lucky to have you at the Akashic Academy. The information and the insight and the healing that you give is fantastic, as well as your generosity. You are one of the most generous, open-hearted souls that I have come across. And I am so just honored with you. So thank you for what you bring here to us at the Akashic Academy. And again, thank you for letting me come on and share with you guys today. I'm really excited because I'm going to be giving you guys the 3 attributes, 1, 2, 3, three simple attributes that you need to bring into your energy field in order to become your own guru. But before I jump in, for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome to the Akashic Academy. This is a space that myself, along with my partner Nick, who's out there, and all of the members of the Academy, as well as our hosts, are creating this sacred space where we can come together and we can really explore our spirituality. We can expand and grow in our consciousness. And this is really where the planet is heading, in the expansion of consciousness. It's like the last frontier that we have to explore here. And when we do really dive in and begin to understand our consciousness on a deeper level, when we begin to understand the multidimensional nature of the beings that we are, the world is going to shift and change in a dramatic way, in a really positive way. So it's really my privilege and honor to be on the forefront of creating this space for all of us. And my journey took a really, really strong shift in 2015 when I became a certified Akashic record practitioner. And the records are the realm of consciousness where every single piece of information is programmed. It's like Google for the internet for the universe. Right. And very similar to how we use Google to get information from the internet. Right. We have to type in the questions or the topics that we're looking for. The Akashic records work the same way. Since it's that huge amount of information, we have to go seeking the knowledge that we're looking for. But when we do and we learn how to access this space, the knowledge that we receive is from the standpoint of God's perspective. Now, that term God, Nick really likes to use the word God. It took me a while to warm back up to the word God. I grew up in a very religious environment where I had some really great experiences with being around the God energy, and then I had some not so great experiences based on the way the doctrine was shared through that established religion. And so I had to go on my own journey to really come back to that, to feel very unified with that word God. But choose whatever word you want, whether you like source energy, whether you like the Akash, whether you like universe. We're tapping into the energy frequency behind that word, that oneness, that creative source energy, right? So the records are recorded from this aspect. And so you can imagine when you can receive any piece of knowledge, any piece of wisdom, guidance, healing from that perspective, our life will shift pretty dramatically. And that's what happened to me. I learned how to access this space for not only myself, but other people. I began to heal dramatically in areas where I hadn't necessarily loved myself. I hadn't necessarily believed in myself. And as I began to heal and I began to share this with others, it was very clear that there was even a bigger mission behind the sharing of this information in terms of doing sessions for people. It was about teaching people how to do this, they can really become their own guru. Now, is the Akashic Records the only way to dive into this level of information? No, but it's my way. So I find that the people who are drawn to me and who feel like they resonate with the message that I share, this is a great way for people to follow in these footsteps, follow in this road that I'm paving. So the first attribute that we really have to grab a hold of in our life to become our own guru is we've got to value knowledge above all else. And Christy, you and I were talking a little bit before we hit go on this show here today about where does self-love fall into that, right? Where do the virtues of being kind and being compassionate, how can you say that knowledge is more important than those things? And it's a great question. When Christy asked me to come be on the show and asked me what we want to discuss today, I go into the records. I say, what do you want me to talk about? They say, talk about becoming your own guru. I'm like, cool. So I tell her, did I have it all ready to go at that point in time of what I'm going to share with you today? No, I did not. I had to go back into meditation and ask, okay, what are the attributes of becoming your own guru? And when they told me you value knowledge above all else, I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. I second guessed it a little bit myself. I had to say, tell me more about that, because it seems like I don't know that I feel comfortable putting knowledge above self-love, above being kind and compassionate to other people. And what was imparted to me in that space was knowledge is what begins to unravel the importance of self-love. Once we fully understand self-love, then we can integrate that energy within our being and we can actually love ourselves, because there's one aspect of beginning to uncover and understand something, and then there's a deeper aspect when we truly begin to realize it becomes real, right? That's what being realized is becoming real. It becomes real for us the more we understand it. And human beings like to understand things on the surface. That's why we like to show up and talk about the weather with each other, then dive in deep into subjects like this. So we really have to value that diving deeper in our life. We have to value knowledge above entertainment, above all other things, because that's what really gives us the access to fully realizing those virtues that are so important, the virtues of being compassionate, being kind, loving, service is another virtue that's very important. So what do you guys think about that? How are you guys feeling about putting knowledge above all else?
Yeah, and we were talking about how there's things that fall under that knowledge, you know, and that is the self-love is really high on that list, right?
Self-love is so high on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm working with students and learning to read the Akashic Records, I flat tell them that is the portal. That is where you go in to access all of what it is that you want to access. It's not about how intellectual you are. It's not about how much of this higher level cosmic knowledge you can process and assimilate and put together. How high you go in terms of your own self-realization and your own quest of enlightenment completely has to do with how much you love yourself. And everybody, regardless of where you fall intellectually, because we'll tend to rate ourselves, right? We'll be like, well, I took the IQ test. I don't know really where I fall into that. Does not matter. It's self-love, and everybody has access to learn to love themselves. And it's one of the reasons, it's one of the archetype things that we come here to planet Earth to learn about is self-love.
Yeah, and really, if you think of the whole list of selves, you know, you've got self-responsibility, self-assurance, confidence. So really, there's like a whole list of selves. There's 20-something of them. I'm not sure how many. And really, all of those come into play up under that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you said self-assurance and self-confidence, because that's the second attribute, is learning to trust. Okay, so when I start working with students and I start teaching them how to receive messages, how to communicate with the Akashic Records that are this living, breathing entity of information, they'll start to receive messages and they'll second guess themselves, right? And they'll be like, well, I heard this when I was in the reg, but I don't know about that. So many times we're receiving these messages, these intuitive hits, and we don't feel comfortable trusting them. And that's a really, really important part. If you're going to become your own guru, and, you know, a guru is being your own spiritual teacher, right? It's allowing yourself to become that pillar that you're going to go to in a time of wanting deeper understanding, in a time of needing help. So if you don't trust yourself, how the heck are you going to become your own guru? Like when you think about what a guru is, would you want to send yourself to a guru that you don't trust? It is imperative that you learn to trust yourself. And let's break down a little bit more about why we don't trust ourselves. Okay. The ego, that old ego that comes into so many different conversations, is really at the forefront of why we don't trust ourselves. Now, many times we think of ego as something that would place us above other people, right? And would place us like, I am the number one. And like, you think of a person being egotistical, and you think of somebody who is boastful. You think of somebody who is really separating themselves from everybody else and putting themselves up here on this platform. That ego does that to us. My definition of ego is anything that defines us as separate from source energy. Okay, so if we're taking ourselves out of the equation and putting ourselves up here, that's defining us as separate from this whole, from this source energy. And ego will do that to us. You guys have heard me talk about polarity before. Polarity is the nature of the earth plane at this point in time. North and South Pole hold the whole thing in place. So as above, so below. The ego will do both of those things to us. It will either take us out of that connection with source and put us up here, or it acts very polarly and it'll do the opposite and it'll put us down here, right? So we're not here in source, we go down here. And when the ego tosses us down here, it's that, oh, well, who am I to be getting these messages? Well, if you're a divine aspect of God in this beautiful reflection of your own personality, why would you not be able to get these messages? So sometimes the ego will put us down here, and it causes us to not be able to trust that information that we're getting. And that's a dangerous place to be. We got to stay connected into that source energy. Don't let your ego kick you out of source and put you up here or down here, because that aspect of trusting yourself and trusting the messages that you're getting is really, really important. And it comes with time. Mm-hmm. The more you practice opening and getting information, getting messages from source, the better you're going to get at it. I remember I was at a Doreen Virtue conference, and I thought we were just going to listen to her speak. But no, she was like, all right, we're going to divide up into pairs of 2 right now, and you're going to give readings to the person next to you. So pick somebody you don't know. And I was just like, I'm out of here. Like, I've never done this before. There's no way. No way. And so I turned to the lady next to me, and we're both kind of looking at each other like this. Neither of us really wanted to dive in and do this. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to trust. I'm going to just wipe the sweat off of my face right now and just trust and go into this and then just, be willing to see what happens. And it was funny because all of a sudden, all of these random images start flying in my mind. And I'm like, but the exercise hasn't even started yet. I don't know. Like, should I count these as messages that are coming in, or I don't know. So I move through the exercise, and at the end, Spirit, I kind of feel the urge to tell her the things that were flying into my head before we began. And so I said to her, this might sound crazy, but they're telling me to tell you, these 2 images popped into my head before we began. And one was an airplane and one was a cat. And she was like, whoa. She could confirm how both of those things were really, really powerful and important to her. So I didn't trust when I was going in. I was willing to be open and try this. And then I got a validation. And so that helped me get a little bit more comfortable trusting. Mm-hmm. This is a process that takes time. Okay. And many times the messages that we receive, especially when we're starting to develop our psychic skills, don't make sense in the very beginning. All right. You know what the message was that she gave me, Christy? And maybe, I don't know if people have heard this story before. The message that she gave me, because she saw some images pop into her head as well. She saw a big lavender bush, and she saw this like a fleur-de-lis, which is a French flower, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's like, and it's kind of on top of like an Eiffel Tower sort of thing. And I'm going, well, I like lavender. That's me. That's kind of me. And I'm thinking, I like French stuff. Yeah, I went to Paris when I was younger, and I speak French. And so I'm like, okay. But I couldn't validate it the same way that she could validate the information that I had shared with her. 6 months later, I'm out on my front porch, and I'm rearranging, I'm pulling up flowers, and I'm digging in my garden. And I turn around to go back inside, and I just like stopped in my tracks. Because I'm standing and I'm looking at my front door, and on one side is a ginormous lavender bush. Yeah. And on the other side is a garden structure that I have that looks like sort of like the Eiffel Tower. It's a big triangle thing, and it's got a fleur-de-lis on top. And I was like, oh, I wish that I would have gotten that lady's information so I could tell her how correct she was.
Yeah, that way you can give her that confirmation. Yeah.
That way I could give her that confirmation. Yeah. Many times, the information is very correct, but for whatever reason, it can't necessarily be validated at that point in time.
Timing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was a really important lesson for me to learn as I began to do this for other people. Because sometimes I would give somebody a message and they would be like, yeah, that doesn't resonate with me. And you have that tendency to like crawl inside and be like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a bad psychic, I guess. But I was able to learn in those very beginning stages that that's the way it works. We still have to learn to trust. So trust is a really, really important one, and it requires us to continue to work on it. The third attribute is taking action. You have to take action on those intuitive nudges that you're getting. Okay. Otherwise, nothing in your world is going to change. You have to take the first step. And as soon as you do take the first step, as soon as you get brave enough to take that action, you're going to see doors start opening, the right doors opening and the wrong doors closing. It becomes very easy to move forward if you're willing to take the first step. And that's another area where some people will hesitate. You know, they might really dive into love learning, and they might be like sponges and absorbing all of the esoteric information they could find. And then they start learning to trust themselves more, but they're too scared to take action. So taking action is the third very, very important step that you must take in order to really establish yourself as your own guru. It's an initiation process that we must go through. It's a learning process. It's not a flip that you switch. I keep saying that. It's not a switch that you flip. All right? It doesn't work like that. You have to go through an initiation process. And an initiation process is just a learning curve that establishes you in a certain group, a certain club. And this certain club that we're talking about is this club of esoteric wisdom and being able to come to the inside of you to receive all of the knowledge and be able to make use of that knowledge in your life. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a little activation for everybody here. Before we dive into our activation, I just want to know if there are any questions about anything. Any questions for me or any questions?
If you have any questions, put them in the comments now, because she's going to start the process here in just a minute. And if we have just a minute to wait on that, I just want to remind you that last week I had Peter Shink on here. So go back and watch that. That was really cool about the I am. And I actually came on Saturday and kind of did a retake of a show with Elizabeth Wood, and everybody seemed to love that. She's just so full of scientific knowledge. It is just really cool. So go back and watch those. And we don't have any questions right now. Krista's saying very inspirational. So I guess they're ready for your process.
You guys are ready then. Okay.
Yes.
So before we go into this process, I want everybody just to set an intention that they are going to be open and allow themselves to receive the frequency of this activation that we're going to be doing together to whatever degree feels like the right amount for them. Okay, because we don't want to break things open too quickly. We don't want to move too slowly through this process. We just want to move at the right speed for each one of us. Mm-hmm. Now, many of you guys are familiar with chanting. If you're not familiar with chanting, welcome to your first round of chanting today. Chanting is powerful for about a million bajillion reasons. I'm going to give you my reason why it's so powerful for me, why it works so well for me. Is because the sound of our own voice and creating a vibration within our own being is incredibly powerful, because I associate sound vibration with creation, with the creation of the universe. And I shared that I grew up very immersed in the church. So the way I grew up was God spoke the universe into existence. Whether you come from a more scientific background and you subscribe to the Big Bang theory, or whether you go to the idea of the Native Americans who talk about the song of the spheres or the song of God, or that sound, that Om, right? Om is the primordial frequency creating what it is that we create. The idea of the vibration of sound being linked to creation is really, really powerful. And I found that it's been a really powerful tool for me. So we're going to use some chanting, some creating a vibration with our own being today. We are going to use the ancient chant, Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. And for those of you guys who are going, well, hang on a second, I don't know what she's saying.
It's on the screen.
No, we're prepared for you. So it's actually, I might have spelled that wrong when I put it in there. Instead of OMG, like, oh my God, it's ONG. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. For those of you guys who have ever read my blogs before, you know that spelling is wah, 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 wah. I definitely need an editor when it comes to spelling. So it's Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. And what's really powerful, I find, about chanting in languages that are not our first language that we speak is that our brain doesn't try to start decoding what it is that we're saying. However, these words still contain that vibrational frequency of this meaning behind them. And the meaning behind Om Namo Guru Dev Namo is I bow to my own inner wisdom, or I bow to my own inner guru. And by speaking this and sending that vibration through our being, we have the ability to open up ourselves in a way that shifts and releases old paradigms of belief that says, I'm not smart enough to do this, or I don't trust myself enough to do this, Or, you know what, I'm just the kind of person who would rather go to the movies instead of working on my own knowledge. And not to say that going to the movies is a bad thing. You should definitely have breaks for yourself. You should definitely have entertainment for yourself, but you shouldn't value entertainment above your own knowledge. So this particular chant that we'll do will shift that vibrational frequency within your body. And if you give permission and are open to allowing that to happen to the fullest capacity that is comfortable for you, you're going to notice some differences in your perception, some differences in your desires over the next week. And Christy, you have a portion that you're going to add to this as well. You have your amazing accelerator images. So why don't you share with us exactly what those do and which one we're going to use today?
This is the Temple of the Heart. It awakens love and higher wisdom. So that's what we were talking about. And so these are by Brian DeFlores and with LightQuest International. And he's the artist that was divinely guided to create these and a lot of other things too. So he infuses these with energies. And so I can pick up the energies from this and send them out as she's doing this chant. So I will show you the image.
So Christy, do you mind just holding that up while we're doing the chanting here?
Okay.
Okay, so everybody, I want you to take a couple nice deep breaths. Set an intention. These are cleansing breaths. Breathing in the light, and as you exhale, exhaling anything that's just causing you to not be present in this moment. So anything's on your to-do list today, deep breath in, breathing in the light. Exhaling any stress, any thoughts that are coming up, just allowing yourself to be very present in the now moment. Deep breath in. And exhaling. And then let's anchor ourselves, connecting and grounding into Mother Earth. So imagine that column of light running up and down your spine and sending that down all the way into the center of the earth, connecting with that unconditional love and support of Mother Earth. And then taking that column and extending it out the top of your head and sending it all the way up through space and time and anchoring into whatever you feel comfortable referring to, that God energy, that source energy, the Akash, the great central sun, that oneness of creation and unconditional love. That's the energy we're looking for. And now that we have that powerful anchor and that powerful energy running through us, I want you to, if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open your eyes. I want to allow you to gaze into that image. Okay, taking the vibrational frequency of that image in through your eyes, allowing it to move into your being. And we're going to chant together Om Namo Guru Dev Namo 3 times. So breath in. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Breath in. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. One more deep breath. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. And then just take a moment and continue to feel that vibration within your being. Even though you're not creating the sound anymore, continue to feel that vibration. And one more deep breath, and as you exhale, you can release the meditation. Christy, thank you so much for holding that for us.
Everybody's receiving these energies.
Thank you, Christy, for amplifying and sharing those with us. Just take a moment here, just like this peaceful space, just to integrate that. It's like Shavasana in yoga. Just want to give ourselves a moment to integrate. Good job, everybody. I'm excited to check in with you guys and see how you're feeling. So even though we're coming to the end of our show here, go ahead and type those comments in. And
somebody, Judy Huffman, wanted to know, how can we best clear the blocks that are stopping us?
Judy, specifically for you, what's coming in terms of clearing the blocks is to dive into that heart chakra space. There's almost like some issues from your childhood that seem to be coming up around times when things that happened to you in your childhood that caused you to take on beliefs that are this kind of growth and expansion exists outside of those beliefs that you took on. So those beliefs are like keeping you blocked in. So specifically for you, they're suggesting that you examine some of that coming up. And then it's also, we can simply affirm that there are no blocks, because many times we will install blocks in our mind because we think that that's how it's supposed to go. So on one hand, it's very real that we experience those kind of blocks. And on another hand, they're not even real things. It's the mirage, it's Maya, it's illusion that there are even blocks. So that's another thing that you can do, is just begin to, once you're connected with Source and you see yourself and are connected in that space, there is only oneness.
And once you go into that heart space and connect, you start letting go. They just kind of fall away because you're connecting and you're trusting. Going back to Jeff.
Yep, absolutely. And it's a process too. I've had places in my life before where I've been blocked, and then I feel like I get over them, and then I'm blocked again. I'm like, well, wait a second, there's no such thing as blocks. So just whatever you do, don't make a federal case of anything that's coming up. Just observe it, send it some love, reach out to somebody that you trust or you resonate with to walk you through the process, because it's very individualized for each one of us, the reasons why we begin to establish those blocks. I'd be happy to connect with you. So anybody who would like to reach out, if you'd like to know more about learning to read your Akashic Records, or joining us inside the Akashic Academy for membership, where there are weekly workshops, I invite you to reach out to me, send me a private message, and I'll set up a time where we can talk more about those opportunities for you.
All right. And Krista did have a question. Let me find it back here. When you had those who said you didn't, they didn't resonate, how did you handle that? I think she's talking about the story that you're
right
into.
Where you're like, oh, I'm a bad psychic.
Yeah.
I generally will share the story of when the information only sort of resonated with me. And I don't, if Spirit says back off of it, just tell them, keep this in your back pocket for later. It might make more sense later than I allow it to be. I did have a case where I was working with a client and a friend of mine not long ago, and I gave her a piece of information and it didn't resonate with her. Actually, it triggered her more than anything. And she was like, no, that's not me. And she went on and on and on and on. And Spirit was like, okay, back off of it for a second. Let her just sit with it. And then Spirit said, now come back to it. And Spirit had me bring it up to her again. And I'm trusting, I'm trusting as I go. And I'm trusting in my relationship and my friendship with her. And she knows that I have her best interest in mind. So that made it a little bit easier. But I brought it up again. And the second time she was like, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. So it's an individualized case each and every single time. That's why when we learn to have that level of access where we can receive information in the moment that we need it, we can figure out what to do next. But it can be tricky. It's definitely one of the lessons that I've learned along the way that hasn't been the easiest one to learn.
And William was wanting to know why the words were so important and why not just English.
English. However, if for some reason you have a subconscious block that says you are not valid enough to be your own guru at this point in time, which that stuff can be very subconscious and we might not realize that we're thinking that, your brain will block it. That's why speaking in these ancient tones and these syllables can be really valuable. Very similar to the frequency of the image that Christy showed us, and that our mind's not interpreting, okay, how is this actually activating the temple of the heart and the higher wisdom in me? When we allow ourselves to receive in symbols, our subconscious mind can't block that information, which again is why sacred geometry can be so powerful. Like this image behind me, this is part of the seed of life,
yeah,
the flower of life, yes. And so because my mind's not trying to break down and understand all of what that means, which this is basically the blueprint of life itself, right? I can receive the information coming from it without my brain trying to figure it out and block it, because the conscious mind will try to break things down, will try to compartmentalize. And if there's any part of you that is not in congruence or resonance with the information you're taking in, you'll throw it out. So this is a little bypass. It's a little trickery for the mind.
So we had people saying that they had tingles and it just happiness. They just experienced a feeling of happiness. William was saying to focus on pleasure and very uplifting. And so, yeah. So, yeah, it's, so I'm just popping up all these on the screen here. And, yeah, your thoughts are beautiful and powerful. So, yes. All right.
Thoughts become things. That's a great little mantra to tuck away. Put that up places where you can see it. So you remind yourself if you're thinking something that is not in alignment with what you want to materialize in the world, you can shift that.
And also, I want to remind everyone that coming up tomorrow, Robin McClendon with Conversations with Gaia, Jack Coleman, Life Hacker. So be sure to tune in for those, and also to join us in the Akashic Academy membership. It's more than just being a part of this Facebook page and getting access to what you have now. There's even more. There was the full moon ceremony that was awesome. And Coach Nick does a weekly show, and it's just I love all the shows that they do, and these are all just in addition to what you get here on the Facebook page. So it's so much more, and it's only $11.11 a month, or $100 for the whole year. You could just pay it up front. So that's a deal there, and so you get a lot for your money, and you get so much. You get a lot of extra things with Emily. So there's all kinds of things going on in the membership. So if you want to sign up, that's a great way to really add to your toolbox, I guess you could say, of spiritual things you've got going on, and part of that, your journey.
You can make knowledge your priority, right? You can make knowledge on the top of your list.
Because that's what they do. They're sharing knowledge, but they're bringing you into the this space that's been created here, which is a wonderful community. So yeah, if I didn't get to all the comments, it's because we're out of time, and I'm just popping them up on the screen. So thank you all for commenting. And I did want to mention before we leave, Dallas Crutchfield. He has been so involved in all of the shows, and we did the charity event this weekend, and he was paying for all kinds of card readings, and it was for charity, and it was such a nice thing to have him and to really participate. And it was just, I mean, he's just always there, and it's great to have that, because he's part of the team, part of the support system here. And also, and I'm going to go ahead and do two this week, just because I can. Shelly Soul, she also has been commenting a lot, not only here, but on my page as well. So she's kind of jumped over to my page, and she's been liking stuff, and she's really I've noticed and seen her name a lot lately. And so both of you are going to get a Lightwave session. I will contact you as to when and that is. It'll be a remote session. So there's nothing you need to do. You just need to be open to it. And so I'll check in with you on that. So be sure to share this out. Be sure to comment, because I look for these things. So it's not about who does the most sharing or this or that. Sharing out is great, and that does get you noticed, especially when you comment that you shared. So I noticed a couple people today, so I'll keep you in mind for next week. So be sure to it just gets people really excited, and it gets them involved, and so I really love doing that. So yeah, Dallas and Shelly, I will be contacting you about a free Lightwave session, and just continue to share this out, even if it's the replay. That's great. And so and I also if you want your Akashic Records reading or a session with Emily, reach out to her, askyourrecords.com. You know how to get in touch with her here at the Academy as well, obviously. And so Dallas is saying, well, awesome, thank you. Yeah, everyone's saying that Dallas is amazing.
Dallas is amazing.
So yeah, so he will be able to maybe comment next week and let y'all know how that went for him. So, and I also want to just really quickly mention tomorrow I will be starting a radio show, and it's A1R Radio and Moonstruck TV, so it'll be radio and TV. I have it each Wednesday night now at 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time, which would be 5:30 Pacific Time, and it's going to be on all different kinds of radio stations. So I'm going to be posting that on my Facebook page. So if you want to, it's going to be called Energetic Alchemy. So I'm going to be explaining what that is and just how, and each week I'm just going to be adding more and more to the show. Eventually I'll have on guests and things like that. So it's going to be really cool. It's just a new thing that I was guided to do, and I think it's going to be really fun. So we're out of time. We're way past our time, Emily.
No. Good thing Coach Nick brings the gong on us.
I know. It's a good thing you're on here with me. Usually I stick to my time. So yeah, so I'll just have to run this by Emily and make sure it was okay. So yeah, so I will see you next week. I'm going to have Karen LaGrange on here about the awesome pyramids. If you didn't see it already, there's posts on my Facebook page of the one that she made me. Oh wow, you would be amazed at the energy that comes out of these things. Wow. So she's going to be on here next week, and we're going to go through a clearing process as well. So join us next week, every Tuesday, same time, same place, and we'll see you then. So thank you all for being here.